Hello, Louisville, and thanks for tuning in to the 502 Leader Series. My name's Jason Mudd, and I'm your host. And the 502 Leader Series is presented by YesLouisville.com. Yes Louisville is Louisville's home for positive, inspiring content. Our goal with Yes Louisville is to help people achieve more, to make more out of their lives, to feel more fulfilled, to make their businesses better, get fit. Gosh, everything on the positive spectrum. So we would encourage everybody to go to yeslouisville.com/subscribe, get on our newsletter, get in the loop. Lots and lots of fun stuff going on there. And that kind of brings us to this episode. In this episode, we sit down with a Louisville legend in the making. He is a young guy. If you've been around Louisville sports for any period of time, if you've been a Louisville resident for any period of time, you've probably seen his face and heard his name. He's J Wagner. And J Wagner seems to have his hand in just about everything. And after our conversation, I really get the reason why. And he would be called in fact, he wouldn't even call himself this because he's too humble. But people would call him a customer service guru. And I think that his whole philosophy is really about giving back to people. And I think that that's been a really big deal in why he's been so successful and why so many people want to work with him. When you have a servant's mindset, it only extrapolates into who wants to work with you. So I think that's a big takeaway from this conversation that we're going to have. J Wagner is the owner at the J Wagner Group. He is a game changer at Boxcar PR. He's a partner at Set at Theater Square, a brand new restaurant down on 4th Street. He's got several event companies, Eventress, DerbyVIP.com, which gets packages for the Derby. They're fantastic experience packages for outsiders to come and see the Derby, which is such a big part of our city. And then his baby is what he would call it, is called Jock Tales. And Jock Tales is a celebrity bartending event that raises money for charity. It's a really, really great thing. And he's partnered with some of the biggest names in sports, and he's all over the country doing that. So J Wagner's got a lot of things to teach us, and there's a lot of takeaways that people can really kind of build into their own lives to help grow some of their businesses and help grow some of their stuff. So take a listen. This is a fairly short conversation. It's about 35 minutes. It's not a huge time commitment, but there's a lot of takeaways in this. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with J Wagner. I really enjoyed having it with him. And have a listen. Subscribe to us at YesLouisville.com and enjoy. Hey everybody, my name's Jason Mudd, and this is the 502 Leader Series. I'm sitting down with, you'd kind of call him a Louisville legend, I think, in a lot of ways. He's a guy that's got his hand in a lot of stuff. I think everybody's seen his face, especially if you're following UofL Sports. This is here with J Wagner today. Joey, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, man. I don't know about legend, but hard worker.
In the process, you've done a lot to promote Louisville.
Right.
And you're a big champion of the city. I think that there's a lot to be said about that.
I appreciate that.
And it's a really cool place to be in. Really cool city to be able to do the kind of work that you do. Mm-hmm. I think Louisville's very unique in that aspect. So let's get straight away into it. Joey, what do you do?
Man, what do I do? That's a hard question. I do a lot, man. And, I have 6 different companies that I either own or work with. My biggest company that I have is my main business, which is the J Wagner Group. We do events, marketing, promotions based out of here in Louisville, but we've grown to where now we're producing events all over country. Events is my passion, man. That's what I love doing. So being able to produce events now all over the country for some major brands has been pretty exciting. One of the newest ventures I have is my restaurant that we just opened up about 8 weeks ago. It's Set at Theater Square. That's been awesome. We're right there across the street from the Palace. We've had a lot of rave reviews. We have amazing food, great vibes. So that's definitely been a great one that we've been working on hard on the past couple months. Have Eventress, which is our other event company I own with Jason Brown, who owns Brownies a Shed, and we do 2 major events a year. One is our Pink Prom concept. That is our 21 and over prom that we raise money for the James Graham Brown Cancer Center. And then we do a big New Year's Eve party every year. We have another company called Appleseed Promo that I own with a couple of my buddies, and we do promo items. So anything you need with your logo on, from hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, mouse pads, whatever we can do. And then I have my relationship here at Boxcar, which is awesome, where I bring an event arm to Boxcar PR, which is one of Louisville's biggest PR firms that represents some of the biggest clients here in Louisville: Muhammad Ali, UofL Athletics, the Marriott, John Kenyon Eye Center. I mean, we have a bunch of great clients here, Delta Dental. So that's been a fun relationship, and I help bring on new business and help out with account work and graphic design stuff. So that's been a great relationship for me for the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years here. And then I have a couple concepts underneath the J Wagner Group umbrella. Two that I really focus on is like different companies. It's derbyvip.com, which is our high-end derby concierge service, which derby's a huge business for me and my company. And then we also have our Jocktails concept, which is Jocktails is our celebrity charity bartending event that we do all over the country right now. Started with the Kentucky Derby, but now we're with professional sports teams, Super Bowl, NBA All-Star Weekend, kind of all over, Breeders' Cup. So that one's definitely turned into more of a company than just a concept. So also MC all the UofL basketball games. Also I'm the new host of the TV show for UofL football. So I host the pregame, halftime, and some postgame stuff that we do for that. So man, I have my hands in a lot of different things and stay busy. So I'm also a dad and a husband and baseball coach, flag football coach. So I'm super involved with my kids, man. I love doing it. It kind of keeps me more busy and kind of gets my mind off business to do stuff with my family.
That's really cool. And you know, a lot of times people will ask, and you probably hear this all the time, you know, how do you find the time in the day? And one thing that I really like to ask, you know, what time do you wake up in the morning?
You know, to answer that first question, you know, I have to make time. You know, making
That's
time
right.
is very, very important to me. I try to get up anywhere between 7:30. My wife works for Norton Healthcare, so she works in the early morning shift. She's usually out the door by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm Mr. Dad and Mr. Mom, and you want to call, say every morning with my kids. So I get my kids up early for school, fix them breakfast, make sure they get dressed, and get all their school stuff together. And I drop them off every morning at about 8:30 at school, and then I try to get here to the office by 9 a.m. every day.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads in, you know, the first 60 minutes of your day is sounds very family focused.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's really, really cool. I think how does the family aspect play into how you run the rest of your day? Does it get you set up and motivate you?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my family is number one, man. And, you know I have to work hard to provide for them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my kids, my wife, you know, they're my biggest fans, man, and they motivate me every single day to work harder. So, yeah, starting my day off with my kids, man, and being able to wake up with them every day and see the smiles on their face just kind of starts my day off great leading in here into the office to get busy.
That's really cool. How do you define success?
Man, you know, success is something that you have to earn. You know, you have to work really, really hard. You know, I've been in this business for 17 years, and have we always been successful? No, we haven't. But we have a lot because of, you know, I work hard, I stay humble, you know, I take care of my people, you know, I give everybody with respect. I've always lived by that. I treat everybody the same way, no matter if they have $1 million, they have $1. And I think that that's really gone a long way for our business and for my concierge stuff that we've done. But yeah, man, I mean, I think if you to become successful, you're only as good as your team. You've got to surround yourself with great people. You got to have good organization skills, man. I'm so organized. That's one of the biggest things that I focus on. I mean, I live and die by my phone calendar, man. Like, you know, keeping alerts in my phones to remind me to do stuff, or, you know, every single day I walk in this office, the first thing I do is update my to-do list for the day, and I print it out. And as the day goes, I'm checking stuff off and marking stuff off to keep me organized, because when you have 6 or 7 different things that you're doing like I do, it's very hard to get off task, you know, or it's very easy to get off task. So having that to-do list and that checklist and staying very, very organized on a daily calendar, that has helped me a lot to stay organized to become successful.
So beyond the calendar, this is something that's interesting that I think a lot of people can relate to, because a lot of stuff does center around our phones and our devices,
right,
for keeping organized. Are there any apps that you use? You use an iPhone.
Yep.
So are there any apps that you use that really help you stay organized?
Obviously, I mean, the iPhone calendar, I mean, that's just number one. I mean,
Sure.
I don't have like a special calendar or anything like that, but
Like a lot of people use Evernote. Evernote's for a lot
yeah,
of people.
I definitely use the notes a whole lot on my phone. It helps me so much in organization because, for instance, like if we're producing an event and I take notes every single event. So if something goes wrong or we run out of vodka or we run out of bottled water or there wasn't enough food, I immediately put those in my phone as notes. So on Monday when Madison or my staff or whoever come in here and we recap that weekend, we know to look at those notes as we go. So make sure it never happens again. So definitely on the notes, obviously, I have all my business email run through Google Mail, which is great, and that keeps me super, super organized on that. But yeah, man, just taking a lot of notes. I do that a lot. I mean, from literally, I live with this phone in my businesses because I know that, if something goes wrong in an event or something goes wrong with a client, like I literally want to fix that so it never happens again. So the notes is probably one of the most things I use on my phone outside the calendar.
Yeah, I think that's really relatable to a lot of people, and being I love how a lot of the stuff that you're saying, you're very service oriented.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're very and I think that this lends itself to the success is being able to take care of everybody else.
Well, a lot of people call me a customer service guru. I don't know if you want to. I mean, it's a good compliment.
Sure.
But customer service for me has got me to where I am today. If you don't have great customer service, you're never going to be successful.
Nothing else matters.
You're never going to be successful. I mean, that's the bottom line. So I think that with me, especially at the Derby or with the restaurant or whatever, you have to treat people the exact same way, and I think that has helped me, whether I treat a celebrity, at the Derby, or a guy worth $300 million, or just a normal party goer just wants to come in and have a good time. You have to treat those people with the same amount of respect, and I think that for the longevity of me and my brand has definitely helped. So customer service is key, man.
I think, you just touching on what you just said, and you and your brand, social media has made it so, and I think that this is something that's overlooked by a lot of people, but everybody is a media company now. Everybody has their own brand. How do you use your personal social media to be able to drive that, to put that message out?
No, it's definitely helped me. I mean, I've learned that I have to treat myself like a brand. Because of what I do. I mean, I am in the spotlight. I am on the Jumbotrons at UofL football games in front of 65,000 people, or basketball games in front of 25,000 people, or I'm, there's articles in the paper, or I'm on the radio, or whatever, So I have to treat myself like a brand that every single thing I do, somebody's watching. And using my social media sometimes is powerful for brands, and especially for my events and other things. And man, I mean, I tell this story all the time. Social media today, and I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, is that it's so powerful that back in the day when I was doing this, I mean, we were hitting the streets, man. We were handing out flyers and posters and stapling stuff to telephone poles and going out 7 nights a week just to kind of get that brand out there. Now it's different. I'm in my office running a brand from a cell phone and a computer and a laptop, and the social media has changed the game. For events, the ticketing system now is online. We use Eventbrite, so all of our tickets now can come directly to your phone, and that's been huge. And it's been a huge for me for a database now. Every single person that buys a ticket to our events, we have a database now for that person. So the next event that I want to produce or promote or whatever, I know I can just with one click can go out to 1,700 people that came to a UofL party we did in Indy, or one click and it goes to 1,000 people that attended our New Year's Eve event for that next event. So that on that side, the technology of online and social media has made it easier for us to reach the consumer.
You think about how ingrained some of this stuff is in people's lives, and you look back, it hadn't been 10 years. It's been 10 years. It's been 15 years.
Yeah.
For this stuff to make such a big impact. And you talk about you being a father. I'm a father too, and our kids are growing up in this age that they don't know any different. They don't know what it was like before.
I'm telling you,
and that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Think about.
Me and my wife talk about it all the time. Is like both of my kids have iPads, and we let them play the games and different things like that. But we also make them do schoolwork and and different things like that. And then, my son, he loves the Xbox. I mean, I wasn't a video game guy growing up. I wanted to be out in the street and riding my bike and playing sports in the yard until the lights went out, you know. So it's definitely a different world. It's a different grasp of thing, man. Social media and the internet and how accessible these kids have to it has definitely changed things. But it's also, as a parent, it's great for GPS and it's great for FaceTime and these different restrictions you can put on these iPhones to know where your kids are at or to talk to them. I mean, I think it's awesome that my daughter can FaceTime me. You know, I think it's great. You know, she lost her first tooth last week and she FaceTimed me while I was here at the office to show me that the tooth fairy came, you know. So
that's awesome. That's
my
really
son,
cool.
you know, or if I'm out of town on an event and my son's at a baseball game, my wife can FaceTime me and I can see my son's every at bat. So that's been really, really cool for the technology when you have kids, for sure.
And it's really neat seeing people. And I think that, you know, this is something that a lot of people, especially, you know, you talk about probably our parents' generation, you know, it's tough for them to kind of get on board with some of this stuff. But the value that a lot of that stuff adds is really exponential.
100%.
In that. You know, who's somebody growing up that you looked up to that maybe mentored you?
You know, obviously my parents, growing up, for sure. I mean, they raised me right to work hard. My dad's been in sales for over 30 years, man, and you know, and he's a hustler. He works really hard, and still to this day, he's 63, 64 years old, and he's still traveling all over the country and selling. You know, and he got me into that mentality of selling. My other uncle, Steve, who passed away a couple years ago, he was in the event business. He worked for the PGA Tour, golf, which, you know, I played baseball and golf in college, and which I love. Golf is one of my passions. So being able to get that event planning, you know, experience from my Uncle Steve and do my internship with the PGA Tour, like that was he was definitely a mentor of mine. And then my other uncle, Uncle Tim, he's in Lexington. He's the one that kind of mentored me into the communications field. Like, he's worked for radio and television stations for over 30 years in his business. So that kind of got me involved into that communications and my degrees in college and the radio and the television side. So that was one. And I think that once I kind of got to college, Brian Hutchinson, who's the athletic director at Morehead State University, where I went to college, he's definitely been a mentor of mine. He's done amazing things for that university, and he's actually done such great things that he's now on a ton of NCAA boards and committees. So I've learned a lot from him. And then, you know, here in town, you know, for businesses, I mean, I've learned a lot from Jonathan Blue. I was an intern for him for a long time, and still to this day we talk a couple times a week, or, you know, every other couple weeks, and I always bounce ideas off him. I mean, there's a couple other ones, man. Rick Kieber, very good friend of mine, mentor. He owns Sunhand City and Planet Fitness. He's been a huge help of mine. And then obviously Bob Gunnell here at Boxcar. I mean, he's been a great mentor of mine to help me gain more knowledge in the PR world. So that's definitely been someone that I go to a lot. I don't know, there's a bunch, man. I mean, a lot of successful businesses, man, I try to surround myself so I can learn. I'm a sponge. You know, I mean, working with Junior Bridgman over the past couple years through here at Boxcar has been amazing to be able to sit in a room with Junior and, you know, and pick his brain on how to become successful. So, and then Tom Jurich, you know, he's my boss at UofL, and being able to be closer to him now and talk to him about sports and life and business, that's been a good one as well. I
think, you know, one of the things that I kind of got out of that is surrounding yourself with the right people. I heard something not too long ago that, you know, you're basically the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with most.
100%.
And I think that as I get older and look around and see, you know, friends from high school and college and kind of different routes that people take, you really get a good picture that means so much, you know, and how that plays into how you build your life.
Man, I can't stress that enough. You know, it's like every day when I have internship programs here with UofL, and, you know, people that want to come work for me or just shadow me, and that's the number one thing that I stress to them, is that never forget people you meet, because, you know, Jonathan Blue helped me get me to where I am, and I never would have been here if he wouldn't have given me a chance. Back in 2013, he hired me to help out with the Mike Tyson Danny Williams fight, you know, and that was a sporting event, my master's in sports marketing, which I loved, and he gave me an opportunity along with another guy to help, and, you know, and that stuff that I did back in 2003 to now helped me get here. And like surrounding yourself with successful people and being able to go to coffee with those people or go to lunch or, call them on their phone or bounce an idea off them through an email has been something to me that has been awesome, because those type of mentors have opened their door to me. So meeting those type of people and surrounding yourself with those type of successful business people is definitely, advice I give to anyone trying to make it in any business, is surround yourself with a great team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that realization that nothing happens by any one person.
I agree.
And I think that plays into the humility aspect
Yep.
Of everything, and knowing your place and how we're all in this together. Where we all have this common goal.
Exactly.
We're all the same, really,
Yep.
when it comes down to it. Looking at your mid-30s.
Yeah, 37.
37. So looking at how stuff is played out and kind of the journey that you've got on, what's some advice that you would give to your 20-year-old self?
Man, some of the mistakes that I made when I was younger was dealing with middlemen. That was something that I've learned the hard way, losing a lot of money on some events, is that, you kind of got to hit the ground running. And I've learned the hard way of, for a while, like, I've always had the mentality that if it doesn't get done by you, it doesn't get done right. And I've learned to delegate. Like, that's something that I've learned to do over the past couple of years, that I don't have a chance. I have to do that. Like, I can't do everything by myself. But I think that learn how to delegate, learn how to say no at an early age. That is something that I struggle with every day now. I've done a lot better the last couple of years, is that, I can't say yes to everybody. I can't take on every single charity event that's offered. I can't offer my services to everybody for free all the time. Like, it's hard to do, man. I want to help everybody, but I've gotten to the point that where I am so busy and that I have to be able to tell someone no. And now that, to get back to your own personal brand, you have to be able to surround yourself with other brands, organizations, people that you involve your brand with, that they are also a respectable, successful brand as well. But there's also brands that are brand new that I like to get involved with. One of our clients is FEAT, which is Family for Effective Autism Treatment, and they're a small mom and pop foundation charity. But man, for me, I wanted to give back to an organization that no one really knew, that involves kids with autism, which both of my kids are healthy. Thank goodness. And, I can't imagine, that, a parent going through a kid with autism. It's not easy. So for me to be able to help out with an organization like that has been awesome. It's been an eye-opening experience. And, anybody that knows me knows I love to give back, man. So that's been something that I've always learned through my parents, that you always give back. So being able to help small organizations, large organizations, you just kind of surround yourself with great people, great organizations. It kind of gets back to that.
That's it's something that you touched on this a little bit in struggling to delegate. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is letting go and the idea, because when especially type A people, you want to get out, you want to do it yourself. Surrounding yourself and building your team right gives you that opportunity to be able to delegate to right people and feel comfortable doing it.
And I just went through it this weekend. I was telling my mom this morning, like, this past weekend was the very first time I've ever missed an event that my company produced. I went to Clemson with the football team, and we produced a major event in Indianapolis for one of our big clients, Red Bull. The Red Bull Air Race was this past weekend in Indianapolis. So my team produced the official block party and after party for Red Bull. And man, I can't give enough credit to my staff. And that comes down to it again. You have to have the right staff and trust the right staff. Like, that was crazy for me to not be at an event, but I knew we were good. Like, I have great people on my team that they were able to go up in Indy without me and pull off a successful events all weekend long while I was not there. And for me, that was a huge step, man. That was big, because normally I would be like freaking out the whole entire weekend while I was gone, worrying about the event, but it literally was not like that at all. So I think that's been a lot of hard work now that, Madison works for me, who started off as an intern, and now she's a staff member. And I've got a lot of great friends that's helped me with my events over the past 10 years. One of my good friends, Chris Beatty, who helped me on the Ali Memorial, He lives in Indy, so I brought him on board. So that was great because he's like the me of Indy, and he's got a lot of great event experience. So we put together a great team, man. So yeah, this weekend was a true test, and it went off without no hitches. So
that's awesome. That's awesome to get to a point like that. What, when you go through and you're looking for people to add to your group, which I can imagine you've got a tight group.
Yep.
What are some qualities that you look for? Just what are some qualities that you look for in people?
I look for those qualities, like the qualities that I have in those people. Mm-hmm. Hard worker, good mouthpiece on them, knows how to talk to people, presentable, and I get their resume, it pops right off the page from their experience. They've got great experience. I'm a big intern guy. I like looking at interns to see what else they've done, because I did so many interns for free to build my resume. So I look at their experience. Obviously, the references are super, super important to see who they've got listed on the references. And then social media, how powerful those social media is. How active are they on social media? How many followers they have on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. A big thing now is what are they posting on social media? I can't tell you enough on how many horror stories you hear all the time of people losing jobs because they're out drunk at a bar and they're posting a picture of them dancing on the bar, or somebody caught a picture of them drunk or whatever. So I really stress that to my staff and to interns, and I definitely look at that. That's something that's very quality, just because one thing you'll see with me, man, and it's tough, is that especially in the social media world, to get back to your brand, like I'll hardly ever, if not never, post anything religious, political, opinionated on my social media. It just can't, man, because then it just starts a fire of comments and people, giving their opinion back to me. And, that's just something that I definitely look at to see what other people are posting on their page when I look at hiring them. And, it's a who you know world. Most of my interns that come through the U of L program are a referral or someone that I know. The intern that we had last semester, Allie Mays, she was in a sorority of a girl that I knew that I worked with through U of L athletics. Called her right away and asked for her recommendation, and she was like, no brainer. She's the event chair for our sorority. She helps put together all of our events. So that's been one on just kind of making those background calls and background checks and stuff like that, because when you have a brand like me and that person is representing your brand, you have to make sure that person is the right fit for the companies.
Yep. That's a good point that I think needs to get driven home by a lot of people is watch what you put out there.
100%.
And that idea that it never goes away. It's always there. Screenshots don't lie, and pictures don't lie. And looking at what do you want to build, and keep that in mind for kids especially.
Yep.
That's something that I know. As my daughter gets older, that's something that I want to make sure that's ingrained in her, is that
right.
that public presentation matters. It matters more than what you want it to.
Yep.
I think. Very neat. What is, we kind of touched on this a little bit beforehand. What's a recent purchase of $100 or less that has most positively impacted your life, rather?
Man, that's a hard question. Obviously, with me being so busy, my Mophie charger, I would say, is probably something that keeps me going.
Keeps the juice going.
Under $100, and I'm constantly having to charge my cell phone.
Sure.
So definitely the Mophie. I get about 3 or 4 charges out of that, and that was an under 100. So that chargers, man, that's been, they're hard to come by and to keep your life going. With me, I'm 24/7, so you never want your phone to die.
Right.
And that's what I always tell people: never let your phone die, because you could miss that $1 million phone call.
Yep.
I would say the phone charger probably.
That's a good point. We talked a little bit about a book. What's a book that you've read that's really impacted, or maybe a book that you would recommend to people?
We just read this book here at Boxcar called The One Thing. It was the creator of Keller Williams, Mr. Keller. He wrote this book, and it was really eye-opening for me because I'm so all over the place with so many different things. But it's more about your life, on how you get to that one thing, on focusing on the one thing. It's definitely a great read. It's where he took a small real estate company and turned it into one of the biggest in the world, just focusing on that one thing. And, for me, that one thing this day or this week could be just really focusing on jocktails and really focusing on pink prom or really focusing on the restaurant. I think that, it comes a time for me with balance that I have to per week. I know that if I say, okay, on Monday, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 hours working on jocktails and that one thing, I'm going to get so much more accomplished than trying to work on 6 or 7 different things within a 2-hour frame. It's definitely was a good read. Bob made us all here at Boxcar read the book, and I've already given it to a bunch of my friends, and they loved it. So
that's awesome. You talking about the different avenues that you've got going on. We've all got, I think it's 86,300 seconds in a day.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize what you're going to put your energies into? Because that's the, money, you can always go out and make more money. You can't create more time. Right. So how do you prioritize?
Yeah, man, I stay on a pretty strict schedule. My day is pretty cookie cutter. Like I said, from the time I get up morning with my kids to get here to the office, get here at 9 a.m., checking emails, checking off that to-do list, working on a couple different things, conference calls, meetings. You just try to stay on task. I try to schedule a lot of my meetings or calls a couple weeks out just so I know ahead of time, what that schedule is going to be and that daily routine is going to be. And I try not to schedule meetings anymore that just are pointless. There's so many pointless meetings, man, where people want a meeting with you and they just honest, they waste your time, And, I try to have meetings now that are going to make an impact on either our own stuff or someone else. Like if somebody calls me and says, hey, I need to pick your brain about an upcoming event, yay or nay, I might take it. It depends on the event, depends on the person, et cetera, et cetera. But, I've really focused on taking the right meetings and scheduling the right, meetings and times and conference calls. And that's definitely been important on the discipline of my day. I try to stay pretty booked up for weeks at a time because there is always going to have something that's going to fall a day of where I have to run somewhere, a meeting pops up, or somebody changes on you, et cetera, et cetera. So I try to stay organized with that pretty far ahead of time.
I think that's a good point to have. Health, fitness, all this stuff plays into being able to perform at your best. Are there anything that you do on a regular basis? I'm really into meditation. I'm really into yoga. Right. I like to ride the bicycle. Is there anything that you do that kind of helps you stay?
Man, I'll tell you, playing college sports, I worked out so much. For a long time in my life, and I'll admit it, I don't work out as much as I should here. I think more of my workout is, running a baseball practice or running a flag football practice or a flag football game, running around with those kids and stuff like that. I definitely, the older I get, need to start working out more. We have a gym here in our office that I definitely need to take more advantage. I like walking. Me and my wife, we walk around the neighborhood. That's something that I try to get a lot of steps in. Obviously I get a lot of steps in all the time on my events. I can't imagine how many steps we got in this weekend at Clemson. We had a ton of walking, so that definitely helps. And then obviously, I watch what I eat, man. My wife is very, very keen on fitness and health as far as the foods, and especially with our kids, we don't do a lot of the fatty foods and the fried foods for my kids. And my wife stays on top of pretty much that. And I love to cook too, so grill out on in the summers and different things. So we try not to eat out a lot and try not to eat unhealthy. We try to eat healthy as much as we can. Every day, I have water. I drink so much water a day just to kind of try to stay healthy. I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'4", so I can try to lose a little bit of weight here and there.
Yeah, it's all good. So give me a rundown of, we're going into October.
Yep.
Give me a rundown of some of the stuff that you've got coming up that people need to get involved with.
Yeah, so starting really next week, we have the Louisville International Film Festival in town that we help produce that and help out with their PR. So that's next Thursday and Friday. Then we have UofL has a home game next Friday night against Duke. So we produce the Petrino Family Foundation tailgates before every game. Then I have my TV gig, at the home football game. So I have that on Friday. We've got coming up, Pink Prom's coming up October 21st. That's a big event for us, and people can get more information on thepinkprom.com. It's great. We raise money for breast cancer awareness. James Graham Brown Cancer Center is our partner. We just partnered up with 102.3 The Max for their Pinktober event to combine it with Pink Prom. So we've got two amazing bands this year. Simple Plan and A Great Big World are massive bands. I never thought 5 years ago we'd have bands like that headlining Pink Prom. Then the next day we've got the UofL homecoming. That's their football game against NC State, so that's coming up the next day. We're producing Jim Beam's Halloween party this year on October 29th, so that'll be a big one. It's invite only. Coming up, football games, like I said, will continue in November. We have New Year's Eve coming up. That's always a big one for us. We have Tony the Tan Lines and DJ K-Dog at Melwood Art Center headlining that. Tickets will go on sale actually next week for New Year's Eve. That's always a big one. And then obviously basketball season starts coming up. So I MC all the basketball games. That'll be keep me busy. And, depending on where the football team goes with the bowl game, we've always done an event down the bowl. And hopefully we keep winning. We make the playoffs.
Cool.
And then January hits, we start getting into derby mode.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of things in the works, man. I'm really, really excited about where I think Jocktails is going. Jocktails is my baby right now. I mean, it's one that I'm really, really focused on because I know how big it can get. I'm actually flying to Miami here in like 3 weeks to meet with some guys that I'm getting ready to bring on board and get involved with Jocktails. It's just going to take it to the next level. So have that. Oh, and Breeders' Cup. Breeders' Cup's coming up. So I'll be out there first week of November in California, Pasadena, Santa Anita. So we'll do Jocktails out there and then also working with the Breeders' Cup on some lounge space on Thursday and Friday. So really excited, man. It's crazy to think that, this all started on DJing and putting parties together in college to where it is today, man, and being able to work with amazing organizations and people and clients and sponsors. So it's been a whirlwind, I'll tell you.
That just goes to show you it's all about, again, who you know and the relationships that you build and putting out a good product, at the end of the day. Going back, where can people, so the New Year's Eve stuff, you say tickets are going on sale next week. Where can people find that stuff?
A couple different, websites. Our main website for J Wagner Group is jwagnergroup.com. That's our hub for all of our business. Pink Prom, thepinkprom.com. New Year's Eve is nye502.com. So we try to buy a lot of those domains that can host like our tickets that drives to the Eventbrite website. But yeah, everything is literally hooked in through our websites or, my social media. People find me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I mean, we try to keep our events updated as much as we can. And J Wagner Group's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Boxcar and Pink Prom. All of our events have their own pages, and people can stay up to date on all of those. So yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
Cool. And you're at Joey Wagner probably everywhere?
Joey Wagner on Instagram, Joey J Wagner on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, awesome, Joey. It's been awesome hearing the story and
thanks, man.
Hearing
I appreciate
how you do some work. It's really, really cool, and I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down. This has been the 502 Leader Series, and thanks, Joey.
No, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the 502 Leader Series featuring Joey Wagner. You can check out other episodes at yeslouisville.com/podcast. We are also on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Subscribe to our blog at yeslouisville.com/subscribe. And follow us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at YesLouisville. Thanks and have a great day, everybody.